Hello, this is Jordan, and this is your Precious Metals video market update. This video is being recorded on Monday afternoon, May 17th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining me today. And it's been a while since I've done a market update on this channel, and that's because we were correcting. The outlook was a bit murky, and so I wanted to wait until I had some more clarity on what was going on. Now, gold has extended past the 1850 target. There's a lot of resistance there, including the 200-day. So it's a good sign that's been able to push above it. However, when you're at key turning points in markets, especially when you're coming out of a correction, you have to focus on the weekly and monthly candles because they'll tell you how if the market is holding those rebound gains into the end of the week and into the end of the month. The worst thing is when you see the market's doing really well and then it loses all the gains into the end of the week or even the end of the month. So that's something to keep in mind. And they also help you clarify the big picture. And so for gold has significant monthly resistance around 1900, also weekly resistance, but monthly is more important. So focusing on this chart, we can see the candle action around 1900. It obviously was the 2011 high, so it makes sense. There's some memory there. So I think that should gold continue to move higher here, this move would end around 1900. Then you would probably see it come back and digest the move for a little while. That's at least right now my potential base case scenario. Now, silver is more interesting because silver has been leading this move during the correction. It's been outperforming. It's already at resistance. And so silver is going to be a bit of a tell for the sector. It has weekly and monthly resistance right at 28.50. So that is a key level to watch the end of this week and the end of the month. Silver closed at 28.27 now. So silver, having been the leading indicator during this correction, having been the outperformer, watch if silver can break through 28.50 and do it convincingly. If it does, maybe gold on this move can break above 1900. If, at least over the next week or so, we kind of see silver fizzle out, it fails to make the weekly close above 28.50, it's not holding its gains, that would be a signal that the rebound in the sector is probably over and it's time for it to peter out or at least consolidate. So silver testing that resistance, that's an immediate leading indicator to look for. But still, for the rest of the week and the rest of the month, we have 2 weeks left in the month. Focus on the resistance levels: 1900 for gold, 28.50 for silver. Now, one reason why the market has been perking up, and I've been, at least precious metals, and I've been harping on this on and on. If you've been watching the videos in my channel or following my work, you're probably sick of me saying it, but this sector has to outperform the S&P 500 to really sustain a big move and begin a real bull market. Now, I know gold has done well for the last 5 years, the stocks as well, but look at these ratios. They haven't even broken out against the stock market. They've been building big basing and bottoming patterns for 7+ years. And so when these ratios break the resistance there at the blue lines and break up to the upside, that is going to be the start of a really powerful bull market where we see gold stocks and silver also, when we see them strongly outperform everything and they sustain it for at least a couple of years. And so at least over the last couple weeks, we see GDX. We see GDX against the stock market. It's curling up. It's rebounding, so that looks pretty good. Gold against the S&P hasn't been quite as strong, but we do have a potential low there. So these ratios, very important to keep that in mind. And so assuming the recent lows in these ratios hold and we don't go any lower, that's a signal that the correction in terms of price is definitely over. So over the last couple weeks, we have seen positive signals here. And if it continues, it means good things for precious metals because you're not. I mean, historically, if you look at the 1970s, the 2000s, gold was outperforming the stock market through most of those periods, and we're not going to see a real sustained bull market in precious metals until they outperform the stock market. But fear not, what we've seen in the last couple weeks could be a significant turning point. And I do think over the coming years, we are going to see precious metals dramatically outperform the stock market. So this is a chart you always have to watch. It's another good indicator for the sector. Short-term trend in these is definitely positive, and time will tell if it's an even more important signal for the rest of the year. Now, speaking of that relative strength, because you always have to look and evaluate how is gold performing against other markets. When gold is in a real bull market, it's outperforming everything else. When you have gold going up, but it's underperforming bonds or the stock market, that's not really a real bull market. I mean, a real bull market in precious metals, you see precious metals flying, and that's because they're outperforming everything. Capital's moving away from those other areas and into precious metals. And this is a ratio that nobody looks at. This is gold against bonds. We have gold against TLT because we know that they've been correlated and kind of tied together, at least when we're in a disinflationary environment, when there's worries about inflation being too low and they want to pump tons of money in. That's been good for good for gold, but to a certain degree bonds as well. So the two have been tied together. But this chart shows something that's happened this year that's been very significant, and that's the ratio has broken out to the upside. So gold relative to bonds is now at a 7-year high. This is significant because it's telling us that capital is now moving away from bonds into gold. And it's significant because this tells us that whether we see lower rates or higher yields moving forward, it's going to be less of a drag on gold than it normally has been. I mean, specifically the higher rates. I mean, if we see higher yields moving forward, this ratio is telling us that's going to be less of a drag on gold. So that's another very significant recent development for precious metals. And, finally here we have GDX at the top, GDXJ in the middle, SIL at the bottom. These are weekly bar charts. And GDX and GDXJ, the action that we're seeing in GDX being able to, 37 was resistance. It's pushed up to almost 40. At GDXJ, it's been lagging a little bit, but, good action. I was thinking 52.53 was the target for this rally. It almost hit 54. Maybe it did intraday. In SIL, the silver stocks, those are the larger silver stocks. And, to be honest, a lot of those large silver companies, they're getting into gold. So there's very few pure silver companies out there. But if you look at SIL, you can see that made a huge move. That's consolidating. And, eventually over the months and quarters ahead, at some point, that looks poised to break out. And that would be like an 8, maybe even a 9-year breakout there. But circling back to GDX, I like the move there. That signals that, that low in March, right around 30, that recent action signals to me that the low is in. And same thing probably for GDXJ, even though it is lagged. And so what that means is in the bigger picture, these markets are probably going to work their way higher. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to keep zooming higher over the next month or two, but they should, at least over the next 6-9 months or so, they should trend to the upside. So with that being said, before you go, for the new people watching this video, I'm going to take this link down soon. But if you want a sample of my research, you can follow this link. I put the link in the description box. This is a report on my top stock pick. Even after today, it still has 10x upside. I think, yes, even after today, this stock has more than 10x upside. But reasonably speaking, I'm a big fan of this company. The CEO owns a lot. He has a track record. Eric Sprott's a big investor in it. I know all you guys probably love that. But if you want to check out a sample of my work at the Daily Gold, free report. You don't lose anything except your time. Hope you take me up on that. And thank you so much for listening to this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And by the way, check out my channel on YouTube at the Daily Gold. I have a lot of videos that I put up there. That's enough for me. Go get that report. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll do another video update for you guys in the weeks ahead.